Thanks for tuning in. I'm reviewing Amir's call on the 7th of April 2024. Paul Gia and Matt Dillahunty are in the chair. Amir called in from the UK. He has previously called in several times before, but he's given it a break of many, many months. He suddenly appeared back. He's claimed that God is the best explanation for the fact that we have anything, that there is anything at all. And he has conceded that there are holes in his argument, but he still thinks it is the best one. He can't think of a better explanation. We saw some ploy where he tried to switch the burden of proof and asked Matt if he could think of a better explanation. Matt pointed out to him he was switching the burden of proof. Things are getting a little bit heated, so let's jump in towards the end, near the end of the call, 5 or 6 minutes, and see how it concludes.
This has anything to do, even if your supposition that matter and energy had an origin, which is not consistent with the best findings of science, isn't something that we could explore. But even if you were correct that it had an origin, you have yet to explain why an intentional agent is the best explanation of that origin. So are you going to keep dancing around, or are you going to answer the question that I asked you 5 minutes ago that you fucking objected to?
In order for something to be the best explanation, it needs to have more explanatory power than the other options that exist. Do we agree on that?
I agree. God has no explanatory power because we explain things in terms of other things we understand. You can't solve a mystery by appealing to a bigger mystery.
Okay, so we do agree that in order for something to be the best explanation, it needs to have more explanatory power than the other options. So the question that I'm going to first ask you guys is, what other options are there besides God?
No, sir, that's not the way this works.
I always think about when this thing about explanatory power, theists claiming that God has got more explanatory power than a naturalistic explanation. I think is exactly the other way around. If you think about a magician, David Copperfield, whoever, obviously David Copperfield doesn't produce real magic. I don't think there is such a thing as real magic. But imagine if we didn't really know this one way or the other, and somebody in the audience said, how do you do that trick? How do you make that rabbit disappear? And if he said, oh, it's just magic, what kind of explanation would that be? On the other hand, if he said, oh, well, actually, I'll show you how I did it. And, there is actually, there's a hole that the rabbit gets through, and he showed you the hat. It's a special kind of hat whereby the rabbit can disappear, etc., etc. That's got explanatory power. Magic hasn't got any explanatory power.
I just got done explaining to you that this isn't the way it works. I'm not in any way, let me try and explain this using the tiniest words possible. I am not claiming that I know what the best explanation for the universe is. My position is that I don't know, and I'm unaware whether anybody else knows either. You are calling in to say that you do know what the best explanation is, and I've asked how you know this, and you have repeatedly avoided it, and then tried to say that the best explanation is the one with the most explanatory power, which I pointed out cannot be true for God, because we don't understand God, and we explain things in terms of other things that are understood. God has zero explanatory power now, and you don't get to avoid that response by asking us to present other potential hypotheses. You need to learn how the burden of proof works and fucking meet it, so put up or shut up.
Yeah, it's interesting how theists will often say, particularly Christians, will often put forward their own hypothesis and say, well, can you think of a better one? And then if you say, well, actually, no, then it's like theism wins by default. No, that's not how it works. There's no obligation on the part of atheists and people who say, I don't know, to supply a better explanation to prevent you as a theist from believing in your own magical solution.
Am I on mute?
You were never on mute, you whiny little bitch.
Jesus Christ, Matt. You need to really take a lesson on etiquette.
Okay, let me mute you again. I don't need lessons on etiquette. I've been doing this for a long time. You called in to defend a proposition. I've asked you questions about that proposition. You have whined like a little bitch and avoided it like a little coward. Now, I'm going to try this one more time. Are you going to present a defense for why you are convinced that the best explanation for the universe, for anything existing at all, is an agent acting with intent? Yes or no?
Yes, and I already have given an explanation, and before it
No, you
spiraled and
haven't.
descended out of control.
No, you
I had
haven't.
already
No,
Yes,
you
I have. I
haven't.
have mentioned.
No, okay, I'm going to mute you again. If you've given an explanation for why you think that an intelligent agent is the best explanation, somehow all the rest of us missed it. So give it again, and let's confirm that this is actually what you said. What is the explanation for why you are convinced?
The explanation that I have given was that the origins of space, matter, and time have to best be explained by appealing to something that.
Okay, I'm going to mute you again, because that's not an explanation for why it needs to be an intelligent agent with a purpose. I acknowledged that even if your boneheadedly stupid claim that space and time and matter had to have an origin, that asserting it has an origin does not in any way affirm that that origin needed to be intelligent. I'm sorry that you can't keep up with these questions, but you have not given an explanation for why an intelligence is required. So now I'm going to unmute you again, and you can say that even if matter and space and time had an origin, why does that require an intelligent agent with purpose, which you have not yet done? So you don't need to repeat yourself. You need to say the best explanation for space and time is an intelligent agent because, and then give the fucking reason.
Wow. Okay, right. Let's start again. So if we grant that the origins of space, matter, and time have a origin that exists outside of space, matter, and time, then the
Which
only thing that can fit. What, dude? Why are you interrupting? Jesus
Okay,
Christ,
here
what did you say?
I'm going to mute you again because this is just too difficult for you. You said if we grant, and all I said was we don't grant that, but for the sake of argument, I will in fact grant this so that you can make some progress. For the sake of argument, the origin, what is the reason for the final time I'm going to ask you? What is the reason that the origin is probably, most probably, an intelligent agent with purpose? Last time.
Hello?
What did I just ask you? What did I just ask you?
Okay, well, I'm not on mute then.
What did I just ask you? What did I just ask you?
You have asked me to demonstrate if we grant, so you can help me make progress in my argument, that the origins of space, matter, and time, you know, if we're appealing to something that exists outside of space, matter, and time, why is that demonstrating that it is a God that acts with intentionality?
No.
He almost got it. He just slipped up on the word God. He should have said agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
With intelligence.
I didn't say God. I didn't say God. I said, why is that an agent with intentionality? Go.
An agent of God. Tomato, tomato.
Okay. No, you smug little... An agent and a God are not synonymous. You might be able to prove an intelligent agent, but that doesn't necessarily prove it's a God. I'm sorry that you're a sloppy thinker who can't get through this without fucking up every 10 seconds. But I'm going to ask you again. If we grant that space, matter, and time had an origin, why is it that you assert that an agent with intentionality is the most probable explanation for that origin? Try again.
Because there is nothing else that we can possibly fathom that best fits that description. Is there anything?
Congratulations, you are an absolute cartoon. You literally just went straight to the fallacy. There's nothing else we can imagine. Your appeal to personal incredulity. Your argument is it must be an intelligent agent because I can't think of anything else. Thank you for wasting our time. But I don't need to waste time on logical fallacies.
There is no
Do you have a non-fallacious? Do you have a non-fallacious argument for why that needs to be an intelligent agent? Because your argument was just, we can't imagine anything else, and that's a fucking fallacy.
Wrong, it is not a fallacy. And if I...
It absolutely is. I've already explained it, and I'm done with you now. The very notion that it must be an intelligent agent because you can't think of anything else is the argument from personal incredulity. Go look it up. I'm not wasting any more of my audience's time on you trying to... I'm happy to teach you.
Okay, so this classic, what else could it have been, that we often hear, it's not only an argument from incredulity, but it's also switching the burden of proof. Because when somebody says, what else could it have been, they're appealing to you to fill in this huge gap, which is their incredulity, and to supply them with an answer. They're putting the onus, the obligation on you, somebody who doesn't know, to help them out of this quandary. And if you can't help them, then they're just going to go on believing this in this fallacious way of reasoning. They're going to believe in the goal. They're going to believe in the thing that they've set out to prove exists. And this is why with theists, they want to prove it has to be an agent with intentionality, an intelligent agent with purpose, because if it's not, it doesn't fit into their theology. They can't say it's Allah. They can't say that it's Yahweh, Jesus Christ, because all of these gods of classical theism have got intentionality, they've got purpose, they've got intelligence. So it's not enough just for it to be a cause. It's got to be something more than that. And they will typically lead the evidence, if you can call it that, where they want it to go, or lead the argument where they want it to go. And then when you say, well, how can you demonstrate that's what it had to have been? Then they will say, well, what else could it have been? Switching the burden of proof onto you, which is a fallacy, and the argument can therefore be dismissed. Okay, thank you. Amir has called in before. He has made absolutely no progress whatsoever. The only progress he's made, in fact, is in being snarky and saying, oh, you need to learn etiquette. You know, you can't talk to people like that. And, oh, Jesus Christ, Matt, what's wrong with you? Actually, he didn't used to do that. So he sort of brought something new to the table, but it's not of any value in this, in solving this question about whether or not a God exists. Okay, thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to your comments. Bye for now.